What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Jordy, and welcome back to F123, my team career mode for the Japanese Grand Prix. And if you didn't guess it was that Grand Prix already, look at this special livery that we have cooked up just for this Grand Prix. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those liveries that when you buy them from the store, they can't use, sponsors, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm not sure anyone is really going to care. We've used this livery before, actually, the Tanabata Festival livery for the very first Las Vegas Grand Prix that we did, but this time we've put it in Japanese colors. It is a special time, and this is actually going to be only our third Japanese Grand Prix of the entire series. Of course, the first one we did was Season 1, one of the best episodes of Season 1, a hard-fought 8th place in Japan, battling with our main rivals in the championship that season, Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris. And it was actually the Japanese Grand Prix that kind of cemented our championship win, or rather, P7 win, or well, it was rather P8 at the time against Lando Norris. And then of course we had to fight just that little bit harder to make sure that we came out on top against Fernando Alonso. So good memories at Japan for Season 1, and then we didn't have any for Season 2, we didn't do one for Season 3, so Season 4, last season, was our last Japanese Grand Prix, and only our second Japanese Grand Prix, where we got the fastest lap and the win. So I'm feeling quite confident heading into this one, but of course, like I just said, we have a new livery and special overalls and helmet just for this episode. So it's mostly the white and red to pay homage to Japan, of course, but this helmet, man, I love this helmet. It works perfectly with the Japanese flag. So yeah, I'm really happy with what I've come up with for this. Just a complete and utter change. Quite honestly, I need it. I'm kind of sick of using the same car for my team for so long. So, I mean, technically it is still the same car, but at least it looks different. But yeah, looking at the livery, of course, we still have little purple parts across, but it is mostly the white and red that you will see. And of course, if you missed last episode, it was the Singapore Grand Prix. Quite a struggle for us, and we managed to scratch and claw away with a P4, so pretty good for us. Hopefully George Russell starts picking up the slack. He got a decent P4 in Italy, but we really need him to start picking up the podiums, because with the exception of Silverstone, he has just not been consistent since Spain. So hopefully this is the race where he finally gets some consistency. Our car was pretty strong at Japan last season. Where did Lance Stroll finish? P4, so it was a pretty strong car last season, and this is only an evolution of that car. Very, very slight evolution. So Russell should get a good performance out here, but that is not the only thing we have to talk about. There's quite a lot to talk about here. Valtteri Bottas is retiring at the end of the season. It's not really that big of a deal, as we are not doing any more seasons after this, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So without further ado, let's skip ahead to Suzuka. Of course, we are just a few points away from hitting the big 300. Will this be the Grand Prix to do it? We'll find out. So yeah, as we go through this loading, you know what we're going to do? We are going to check out the R&D, see if anybody has made some upgrades going into Suzuka. There are some teams that are still yet to max their car out. At least I think so anyway. So hopefully a team has brought in some upgrades, and so a more eventful episode is a better episode, as the last two have shown, especially Monza. Monza was a great episode, all things considered. So I'm hoping that continues, but I'm hoping the difficulty is not too much. It's not too difficult for us to actually get into a top points paying position. But we got a pretty perfect weekend, if this is anything to go by, so that's good. One of the worst things about Singapore was that I wasn't able to get some testing in for the hard tyres, and so that definitely hurt us for the full race. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be sunny skies all over. But according to this, there's nothing. There is no upgrades for anybody going into this. So maybe everybody's at their maximum now, you know? Maybe Mercedes are just that bad in this game. Maybe everybody's just at their... Yeah, that's it. No more upgrades now until the new regulations come in. But like I said, we're not doing any more regulations. So, yeah, this might be the final product. So look at that team leaderboard, because that's where it's going to stay. But yeah, looking at the constructors, I've not really spoken too much about the rest of the teams in the constructors because we've really ran away with it. But McLaren and Ferrari really close together. Red Bull seem to have got P2 down pretty. Yeah, they do, like almost 100 points ahead. We've definitely won it already. And yeah, Mercedes aren't going to catch up. So it's a big battle for P3. And then after that, that's just about it. Alpine are pretty close to Mercedes. Aston Martin, they're still in it. And then the bottom four teams are just completely out of it. Hopefully F124 is a lot different in terms of... you know, R&D development for the other teams. I really hope so. Driver career mode seems to have changed it quite a bit. I don't know if that will affect my team, but it won't really affect us at all because we won't be playing my team next year. Next game, sorry. We're playing driver career. So, I mean, since we'll be starting at Williams, I really hope that this isn't the case next game, but we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got to do. So without further ado, let's get into Suzuka qualifying and hopefully get back to podium ways. Or winning ways, rather. We'll see. Let's go. So, here we are qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. This won't feel too different from last season as the cars haven't really changed too much since the end of Season 4. So, you know, since we had a really good race around here last season, I'm feeling quite confident. And, I mean, especially after the last couple of races, we definitely need a track that we are pretty comfortable at. But there is a lot of tyre wear this season on the softs, and Japan is no different. Already 2% on an outlap, so that's not very good. So we need to get this right because, you know, we won't be getting any second chances on these set of tyres. So, yeah, of course, this particular corner, very weird in these F1 games, especially since the AI breaks early around there. I don't know if we gain any advantage from not braking a little early there. But it certainly feels like it, so we'll keep that. But going through the S's very well on this circuit. Honestly, the hardest part to get right, this little section here, for me, is at some points actually more difficult to get right, because if you do actually screw that up, then the race is over. But the next section there, the hairpin, I've always been better than the AI at that particular point, so very confident about late sector 2 going into sector 3, especially sector 3 with these maxed out cars, and we've got the Red Bull Ford engine, of course. So yeah, here we go, going down probably one of my favorite sections on any track. This is still late sector 2. Wow. So sector 3 actually is quite tiny. Or maybe it isn't, maybe it just seems tiny because of just how quick we go through those sections. No, I don't know. It is quite tiny, I think, but fastest lap with a 124.9, but obviously we'll have to improve on that. Obviously not by much, as we are P2, Pierre Gasly P1, but yeah, I made some mistakes early on in sector 2. It was that corner right after the S's that we did end up struggling on, unfortunately, which is a shame because we did get a purple sector 1 and a purple sector 3. So pole position pretty much would have been guaranteed, but it is Oscar Piastri in the McLaren that manages to get P1 here, 2/10 ahead of Pierre Gasly. So a pretty dominant showing by the Aussie right there. Pierre Gasly, you know, Alpine, they've been, you know, dark horses pretty much this season, just popping up here and there, especially on the more quicker tracks. They did it at Monza, they did it at Suzuka, but P3 is our position for the race.
No fewer than 12 world champions have been crowned at Suzuka, but who will be tasting glory today at the checkered flag? We're approaching lights out, and we can't wait for the Japanese Grand Prix. 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have the owner driver, Verstappen, Théo Pourchaire, Bottas, Ocon, Perez, Norris, Tsunoda, Russell, Sainz, Leclerc, Drugovich, Stroll, the owner driver, Albon, Sargent, De Vries, Magnussen, Joe, and Jehan Deruvala. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
I tell you what, doing Suzuka so early in the F1 24 season is going to be so different, considering we've always done it so late in the season in this game and any games prior. But yeah, as mentioned earlier, the softs are a complete no-go. I do try to test all the tyres that I can in the practice sessions, and the softs, yeah, they were absolutely woeful. So we're going to run the hards to mediums, of course, which is a pretty Season 2-esque strategy. That was a strategy the AI ended up using quite a bit in that season, and we're going to use it again right here.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Well, rather unsurprisingly, I am not the only one going for this hard tyre strategy. Of course, the Alpines going for it, so they should get a really good boost at the start of the race. And the AlphaTauris near the back of the grid, they're also starting on the hards. I don't know how much that will benefit them, though. Perhaps Albon, don't know about De Vries, he is just nowhere. And Logan Sargent in the Williams, also on the hard tyres. Everybody else will be on softs. I think there's a couple of drivers on the mediums, but yeah, definitely going to have to deal with a bit of pain these first couple of laps. But honestly, it might be looking good at lap 3 onwards, and here we go, underway. Gasly doesn't get the greatest start, neither does Piastri, and we could be looking for a big move into turn 1 right here, but no, Oscar Piastri able to get onto the racing line, and through goes Max Verstappen, and Valtteri Bottas is right behind us as well. Where did Verstappen come from? I had no idea he was there. Gasly has fallen all the way to P5, and yeah, we are stuck in P3, but yeah, Oscar Piastri didn't get the greatest start, but he defended quite well, and Verstappen had an amazing start on those softs, and he'll be looking to chase down Piastri. Of course, the Red Bull, I think, is, you know, statistically in R&D, the best car on the grid now, especially compared to McLaren and us. I don't know where, I think George Russell is, yeah, quite far down as well. He is just not on a good run of form at all. I don't know what's happened with that. Maybe it's because all the cars are equal. Well, they're supposed to be equal, but obviously there is a little ceiling for R&D. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Russell should still be doing better. But yeah, not the greatest start ever for us, but also not the worst. It's a pretty, it's a start that we've kind of expected, to be honest, as we were getting pressured from Bottas for the majority of that lap. But very, very soon we'll be seeing the hard tyres, you know, come out on top against those softs, of course. So I am not worried at all. This is a really good start, all things considered. And yeah, for all the cars behind us, we've already stretched out a gap, but Piastri and Verstappen. They're driving quite well. Of course, Verstappen is slipstreaming off of Piastri as well, but yeah, these guys have surprised me with how well they've driven on the softs. I projected that we would have made at least one overtake on one of these at this point, but no, we're keeping up with them quite easily, mind you, but it's not quite there yet, and it does beg the question if we could have made an overtake on the mediums earlier, but of course I want to be quicker on my second stint, so yeah, we are going with the mediums for that particular part of the race, you know, for the last part of the race. But yeah, keeping up with Piastri and Verstappen, it's a pretty close race. Of course, we're actually making further of a gap on Bottas because we do get DRS and slipstream on the top two cars, but Bottas is keeping up quite well in that Mercedes. As we move on to lap 6 now, going into sector 3, Verstappen looks to be making a move on Piastri. We're going to follow Piastri through. Verstappen did not go for that move, quite strangely enough, and decided to back out of it, even though I'm pretty sure he did have some space. I don't know. For some reason, Verstappen did not feel confident going into that corner, and us getting behind Piastri for more space, of course, you know, has won us out over Verstappen right there, and we're in P2. And you might notice I've been trying to follow the AI as much as possible for the last couple of laps, but they're obviously braking early into that corner, and many of us already know of that, of the AI's tendency to do that. So we've not been caught unawares by that yet, but yeah, it's quite a strange little bug. Maybe you know, they didn't update any AI pathings when they updated the track, or I don't know why that's a thing, but it is what it is, as we are now following Piastri through, and look at how much grip we've got in the corners there. Just wow. But Piastri keeping up quite well. I think the main reason we are struggling so much to actually overtake them is because when we actually do catch up to them, they get a big boost down these straights because they've got more downforce. We're running, got less downforce, sorry. We're running a more downforce setup, as this pretty much shows here in Sector 3. But look at that. Unlike Verstappen, we have actually stuck with that inside line. Verstappen, of course, backed off the lap before, but yeah, we've actually stuck with the move, and finally, after 7 laps, we have overtaken Piastri and Verstappen, but in my opinion, it was a bit too late. You know, those two have easily, you know, halted my plans a little bit there. So we're having a little bit of a change of strategy. We will not be pitting for media. We will not be pitting on lap 8. Sorry, we're actually going to pit a bit later. These hards, even though it does say about 23% wear, they feel great. You know, I'm not worried at all. So we've gone for a couple of extra laps. Nobody behind us has pitted, at least nobody close to us anyway, but we are going to pit now on lap 9, going on to lap 10. Piastri and Verstappen are continuing to go. Gasly behind us in the Alpine, he is actually in the pits. Russell is coming into the pits as well. He has been nowhere this race, and I think this pretty much shows just how far behind he is compared to us. So strange. We're not even going to halt his pit strategy. That's how far behind he was. So even though we have double stacked, it's made no difference whatsoever. Again, I have no idea where Russell is in this race, but it's nothing good. As we make quick work of our former teammate Felipe Drugovich driving in their Alfa Romeo, of course. And now we just work to drive well and undercut Piastri and Verstappen. It's a bit of a accidental undercut because I actually thought they were going to pit the same lap as me, or at least a lap before, because I mean they were on the soft tyres, and so we would have gained a lot of time, not just on our hard stint but also on this medium stint. I mean, look at how far forward we are now getting out in front of them. We have gained pretty much 2 seconds on those two, so that is a big gap for those guys to traverse. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of the race. Nothing really happened there. Verstappen has actually driven really well, and so we've had to keep gunning it from here on out. But yeah, a lot of tyre wear, but the tyres have felt great, to be quite honest, especially the hards on the later stint, but the mediums have not been too bad neither. You know, I mean, look at how comfortably I'm going through Sector 1 here. Obviously, I have to go just a little bit slower, mind you, but, yeah, it's been a pretty dominating race for us ever since the pit stops. Yes, Verstappen is driving really well and has caught up to us. Well, actually, maybe he hasn't. Maybe Piastri's just fallen back, to be honest, because we did come out of the pits 2 seconds ahead. But, yeah, Verstappen's done well in maintaining that gap, but he's not managed to gain it because, obviously, we're on fresher tyres. Like, we're on 35% tyre wear. Verstappen must be on, like, 40, 45 maybe, because obviously... oh, no, he's on fresher tyres. We pitted before him. Never mind. Yeah, we've just driven really well here. So, honestly, it's a nice change after the last couple of Grand Prix. We are back to I can't talk, apparently. We are back to winning ways here at Suzuka as we now cross the line, take the checkered flag. A pretty dominating win for us right here, and it's just a shame that our teammate is once again nowhere near us. He needs to start picking it up. I don't understand what's up with George. I really don't. His focus is actually quite high. I don't understand it.
They've done it then, here at Suzuka. A brilliant win on the beloved figure-of-8 circuit. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
Well, it is a bit of a shame that George Russell has once again dropped the ball. I really don't understand what's going on with him right there. I actually don't even think he scored any points in this race, which is just such a shame. I don't get it. We were dominating so much in the first half of the season, but in the second half, he's literally just become Sergio Perez in 2023 season. He's just completely, like, nowhere. Dropped off the face of the earth. Let's actually see where he placed. Wow, he didn't even score any points. I don't get that. I mean, Mercedes had a great weekend, and maybe that's what pushed him out, but we have a better car, or at least an equal car to the Aston Martins, and I know Russell is a better driver than both Porsche and Stroll, so I really do not understand what is up with George currently. We really need him to start picking up the points because he has really dropped off compared to Max Verstappen now, and I was really hoping to get a 1-2 in the Constructors. It doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but I want the team to look strong, and Russell has had a complete drop-off in form, unfortunately. So I think that's actually going to affect our sponsors as well, as we are not going to score nearly as much points as we need, for Avolo. And look at that. Russell, I don't know what's up with him, but good win for us here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Back to winning ways. Guys, if you liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. Comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time in Qatar for some more F123 My Team career. Till next time, peace.